Hello everyone and welcome to Georgia Paper Crafts. Today we are working with the Simon Says Stamp March 2020 Card Kit of the Month, Stronger Together. I'm going to do a brief overview of what comes in here and then we'll get to making some cards. So first we get this full bottle of craft tacky glue from Simon Says Stamp. There's 60 mLs in here, which is 60 cc's. I love this glue. It really works well. As you can see, my other one is well loved, so I'm kind of glad this came in here so I can replenish. Then we get, let's see, this is one 6x6 sheet of Simon Says Stamp glitter paper. This looks kind of pinkish purple. I think in some of the other kits I saw that maybe they were purple, but this will be fine. Then we get one 6x8 clear stamp set. This is called Stronger Together. It has a bunch of floral images along with some nice big sentiments. We are always stronger together. Call me or text, whatever. Dreaming of when we will be together again. Though we're far apart, you're always in my heart. Thank you, I miss you. Hello, friend, miss you. Hello again. So along with this, because they're all open, we can use the watercolor pencils and we can do a little bit of watercoloring. So I'm interested to try these out. I do have some other watercolor pencils that work okay, but I'll be interested to see how these work. There are 24 in here, and it looks like there is a variety of colors, I'm sure. So yeah, a couple of different colors of each. Hard to see, plus a white and a black. So definitely have to try those out. Then we've got one of these small wafer dies. This is the Hello wafer die from Simon Says Stamp. The paper this month is from ModaScrap, and these are all single-sided. And these, let's see, how many do we get? 12. 12 of them. They're in floral designs with pastel colors. Pretty colors and designs. Basic, but very pretty. Then we get 3 envelopes. You get a white, get a metallic, is that considered lavender? Yep, metallic lavender, and a mint. And these all have the peel and stick feature to them. Get 3 floral Suzy Plantimer watercolor cards, all in the floral designs. These are cute. And then you get 4 pieces of paper. You've got 100 and is this 120 or 120 pound white cardstock, a mint lavender, and I believe that is cornstalk blue. Let me make sure, cornflower blue. Excuse me, cornflower blue. So that's what comes in the kit. Now we're going to get started with making the cards.
So the first thing I wanted to do was work with the watercolor pencils. So I used one of the pre-printed prints, flower prints from Suzy Planamura, and I began using some watercolor pencils to color this in. And as you can see, I thought that the mixture between the colors, this blue and this purple, would be easier to achieve. However, that was definitely not the case. The key when using watercolor pencils are definitely add the color that you want first and then put the water on, because you cannot go back and try to put the color back on after it's already wet. That'll just start to peel your paper up and it'll be a mess. So I did the first 2 over to the side and with the purple and the blue, and as you can see, I was extremely disappointed by those colors, so I abandoned it, and I almost abandoned the whole picture. But then I said, well, I could probably cut it out and keep these 2 flowers to the side. So I decided to only use blue colors, a light and a blue, and I'm coloring them in here on this big flower, and then I'm just taking clean water and using a paintbrush and dabbing just a touch of water onto it and pulling that color out. And you can see that I'm doing that pretty easily. So these two colors come together. Like I say, colors that are in the same family seem to work well, but after, these two opposing colors, like the purple and the blue, I thought it would mix well together, but it definitely does not. So that was a lesson learned for me using the watercolor pencils. Otherwise, I had no problem using them. I did put down a heavy hand to begin with a dark blue and a light hand with a light blue because I did want it a little bit darker. However, they seem to kind of totally mix together once you add the water. Once I'm finished with that, I'm going to bring in a yellow for the middle along with just a little bit of a green to help kind of mix in there. It is a very faint green. And then for the stem, I'm using a dark, it's a dark green or an olive green color. So once I'm finished, I'm going to take the tape off of it. I really didn't need to tape this down, but it was helpful when moving it around. I'm going to go ahead and start cutting around it. And I am going to cut right along the black line there. And once I'm finished with that, I am going to go ahead and use a Memento black marker. This is a tuxedo black marker, and go around the edges just to clean it up so you can't see all the imperfections of my cutting. I cut down a piece of the pattern paper, and I'm going to glue that down to some of the cornflower blue cardstock that came in the kit. This piece that I cut down is about 3 inches. And I would say 3 inches by 5 1/4, or 5 1/2 probably. Then I'm going to use some Love from Lizzie peel-off stickers. This was not included in the kit. This is something I had in my stash and just brought to add a little dimension. I'm going to put it into my MISTI, pull out the stamp that I want to use, and use a little bit of anti-sag powder tool, stamp with some Versamark black ink, and go ahead and put some clear embossing ink over this. This will just help it stand out and shine a little bit on the card. Go ahead and heat emboss that. I put some double-sided adhesive on the back of the piece of paper. I'm going to put it on my cardstock, which again is all, I make my card bases out of heavyweight cardstock, white cardstock from my stash. This is an A2 size card. And then I'm going to go ahead and adhere the flower straight down onto the paper with some glue. I was thinking ahead of time, it probably would have been very nice to go ahead and pop that up with some foam adhesive. And now I'm going to use some of these Nuvo drops that came in on last month's kit. They are the Pure Sheen water droplets, and I didn't use them last month, so I decided to try to use them this month. And I put them on here, and I think they added a nice little color. They do have somewhat of a tealish green color to them. I'm going to add some final details using my gel pen and a black fine tip pen. And here is the final card. Now moving on, of course, if you know me and you watch my videos, you know I do a lot of metallic watercoloring onto black cardstock. I have sped this up significantly because I'm not only going to heat emboss this one, but I'm also going to heat emboss several other or make several other pieces that I'm going to use to make cards in the future. And I say in the future for this card set. So here I am making a mask, and you probably didn't even see me. It was so fast, and I apologize. That went by very fast. But I made a mask for this stamp because I want to add another stamp on the side here. And this one is going to be the one with 2 flowers, and I'm going to heat emboss that with some white. Actually, it's clear. I had already previously heat embossed it with clear embossing ink. Now this one I had stamped with some antique linen distress ink because I want to do some no-line coloring. And you didn't see that. You can see it. Very, very faint. Here I'm going to do a piece with using the long stem ones, and I'm going to emboss that in white. And then I'm going to take a piece of white paper and do the same design, but I am going to heat emboss this with some antique gold embossing powder. And those projects I'm going to set to the side, or those pieces of paper I'm going to set to the side. I'm going to start out working with the no-line watercoloring. And so this is something that's extremely new to me, and I'm not sure I'm comfortable with. However, I will say using the pencils made it easier because they have that nice fine tip, and it made it easier for me to get in there and kind of make the lines that needed to be there. So pretty much I'm tracing around the lines with the colored pencils. I'm using one color, being very, actually 2 colors, sorry, 2 colors, and being very just simple with it, not trying to be fancy because, again, I don't know how to be fancy, and just kind of, filling it in with some water once I'm comfortable with how it looks. Again, I'm not using a heavy hand with the pencil, just using it lightly and kind of filling in all the areas. I'm doing that with a green and a little bit of a brown marker for the leaves, and then I'm also going to use that same brown marker for the stems. Once I'm finished with that, I brought in a very fine tip water brush. I'm going to over the stems with that. I'm going to go ahead and fill in the rest of it. And it's kind of neat watching it on screen to see it come to life. Because previously, just watching it, you wouldn't be able to see it because of the stamping with the very light ink. And here is where I'm going to go in and do the flowers. And this is a red color. You use kind of a darker red near the middle, lighter on the top. Just kind of pull all of those out. Again, outlining it and then filling it in. I'm going to use the same color on each of the flowers. I'm not going to switch up any colors. I'll go over it with, again, my brush, watercolor brush, and just some clean water. And as you can see, I do wipe off any excess off to the side here. Got a little bit of an outside line there. Just trying to wipe it up, didn't really come out, but here I decided I wanted to put a little splatter on it. So I brought out my Gonzai Tombi Gem Color watercolors, and I'm just flicking on different colors. It's hard to see, but I did do quite a bit of light splatters. I decided I wanted to add this to a darker color background, so I pulled out my favorite things, cactus colored cardstock, and I mounted it on that, and then I added it to the white card base. I added the sentiment "I love you," which I heat embossed earlier, and also added some clear, sparkling clear drops from Pretty Pink Posh. Now moving on to card number 2, or actually it's 3. This is the card base that I previously heat embossed with clear embossing powder onto black cardstock. And of course I'm using my metallic gems watercolors. Now this is the Gonzai Tombi Gem Color metallic watercolors. And I am coloring the flowers in red and a pink, and then I'll of course be using green for the stems. One thing to do when you're using metallic watercolors, to get the most pigment, you want to use less water. So you want to just use just a touch of water to get it going, and then kind of make sure you put it on, I hate to say thick, but thicker, because that'll definitely make the pigment come out more. The thinner it is with water, the less it'll show up and the more translucent it'll be. So here I'm just coloring all the leaves in. Using the green color. It's very easy to do, easy to see even with a clear embossing. I'm not going to color the stems, just going to let them kind of appear there. And then I brought in some more colors to do some splattering. So here you can see I'm using some of my other Gonzai Tombi colors. And this is the pearl colors. And I'm also going to be using the starry colors. They're all from Gonzai Tombi, and I will list them all down below. Once I'm finished with that, I've let it dry. I'm going to trim it down just a little bit to 5.5, not 5.5, 5.25 by 4. I'm going to mount that onto my off-white card base. And as you can see, I stamped one of the sentiments in black. This was in the stamp set. And I heat embossed it with some clear embossing powder just to make it glossy and stand out. I did a bunch of those off camera, and I used the one in the previous one that said love you. This one says hello friend. I'm now going to bring in some pretty pink Posh raspberry gems and just place them around. I know that I'm using quite a few things that are not included in the kit. However, I think it's okay to supplement the kit with what you have in your stash to make the cards that you want to make. And this is the third card. Moving on, so here was the other piece that I did, and I'm using the Starry Colors watercolor set. This has all metallic golds and a white, and I'm just painting it all in. Again, this is extremely simple watercoloring. Just putting a little bit of water onto the palette and dipping my paintbrush in there and then coming straight to the paper. Again, not a lot of water because my cardstock is not the watercolor cardstock, and it also gives me a lot more vibrant pigment by having it thicker. Now I'm going to, of course, do some splatter onto this here. And I also cut out the sentiment that from the die that came in the set that says hello. I cut it out of black cardstock 3 times to give it a little bit of depth. And then I also cut it out of some mirror gold cardstock I have from my stash. I'm going to adhere all those together using some glue. And I'm looking to see how I want to put that together on my card base. And go ahead and adhere that using some glue. Once I get that down, I'm again going to use another one of these stripes, these peel-off stickers actually. It's a gold peel-off sticker from Love from Lizzie. If you don't have these, you could always just use another small piece of mirror cardstock and just adhere that to the side. Decided to put them on both sides here. And bring in that sentiment. Go ahead and put some glue behind it and adhere it to the card. Bring in my T-ruler just to make sure I've got it straight. I do have a tendency of not getting things straight. Then I'm going to bring in another one of those sentiments that I had heat embossed earlier. And this one says, I miss you. So it says, hello, I miss you. I did not add any gems to this card. I thought it had enough color as it was. So here is the last one that I heat embossed. And the last one I'm going to watercolor with my metallic paints. Again, the metallic paints I'm using are the Gonzai Tombi Pearl colors. And I feel like this set of colors, this pearl colors, stands out on white color cardstock better than darker color cardstock a little bit better. It doesn't seem to have the metallic pearlescence as much as the pearl, so it stands out a little bit better than just the metallic does on a white color cardstock. Kind of doing the same here, using a bunch of splatters of the paint, and of course wiping up my surface as quickly as I can. Going to do the same process as I did with the other card, where I took the Hello die, cut it 3 times out of white cardstock, and I also cut it once out of the glitter cardstock that came in the kit. Going to adhere all of these together. Going to adhere that to the card base. And again, I'm going to bring in some Love from Lizzie peel-off stickers here once I trim this all up. And these are kind of a glittery white. I'm not sure of the color of them, but I will look it up and let you know. Put them on both sides. And then I'm just going to go ahead and adhere the sentiment right below that. Try to get it straight. And I was thinking about adding another sentiment, and then I decided just to leave it as is. That's that card. Alright, so moving on, I wanted to do some other coloring of the 2 watercolor pieces. So just because they're on watercolor cardstock, which they are pre-printed on Tim Holtz watercolor cardstock, you don't have to use watercolors. Here I'm using my Zig Clean Color real brush markers, which I like to use a lot. And you can use them with water, but I like to just use them as is and to pull the color out. So what I'm going to do, I'm not going to show you the whole coloring of this. I'm just going to show you a coloring of a couple of the petals, and then I'm going to come back once I'm finished with it. So here I'm using some pinks, and I put all the colors down below, and I will put them in the description box so that you'll have those, because I know that went by fast. Again, I like to just start with my darker color, use some lighter, and pull everything out, trying to give a little bit of highlight there. And here is the finished product. So what I did do for this one is I wanted that floral piece to stand out more, so I went around it with a C1 and a C2 Copic marker just to help frame it up. You saw there that I went ahead and stamped it using some Versa fine onyx black ink. I stamped the sentiment from the card set, or stamp set, excuse me. I made a card base out of the mint color cardstock from in the kit, and now I'm putting some of those pretty pink posh clear gemstones all around. The sentiment says, hello again. What does it say? Hello again. I missed you. Is that what it says? That's terrible. My vision's getting bad. Yeah, that's what it says. Hello again, I've missed you. All right, so here for the other piece, the daisy piece, I am coloring them in, again, using my Zig Color markers, and I am doing them in yellows and browns. All the colors are listed below. I know they're going by quickly, but again, I will put them down in the description box. I'm going to color one on screen, and then I am going to come back with a finished piece so that we can keep moving and we'll make it into a card. So as I did with the other ones, I put down my darker and my medium color, and I put out with my light. And that just helps to give some highlighting. I'm going to color the centers with some browns. Use a dark brown and again a light brown, just kind of color it all in. I'll also do the stem in browns. And here is the finished piece. So I colored all the open areas that were white with a bright yellow marker, and then I cut it out along the edge. I again used my Memento tuxedo black marker to go around the sides just to kind of finish off the imperfection of my cutting. I added a piece of pattern paper from the pattern paper that came in the card kit to a off-white card base, and then I added the colored piece directly onto the cardstock here. And I'm trying to decide how to put my sentiments that I had previously, again, stamped, embossed, and cut out onto this paper, and I'm just kind of laying them how I thought they would look good. And this says, although we're far apart, you're always in my heart. And do some highlighting with my white gel pen. Trying to find a gel pen that works. Sometimes I have ones that don't work as well. Put some white accents on the middle of the flowers. Then I decided I would bring in some just enamel hearts. I don't know if they're enamel, but they're pre-cut little hearts from my stash. And I put 3 around just to kind of add a little pop of color and also just to stand out. All right, so for this one, I took the very front page of the card pack that came in this kit, and I die cut that using the dot scallop border from Simon Says Stamp. And as you can see, I am going to also cut out the hello die, and I'll stack it 3 high again using some of the lavender cardstock, and then put a piece of the glitter cardstock on top of that. Cut another piece of the lavender cardstock. It's about 3 inches by 5.5, and I'm going to add that down, and then I'm going to put the piece that I had cut out using the scallop border. I'm going to pop that up, and this time I thought ahead and I did use my foam tape. So added all the foam adhesive on the back there, and I'm just going to add that to the card base. I'm trying to figure out where to put this hello. Put some glue on the back. I decided I'd just leave it right there, using my T-ruler to make sure it's straight. I wanted to use another sentiment, but I didn't want it on the front, so I added it to the inside, and this says "Miss You." I'm going to add some more gems, or not more, but add some gems just to help it stand out a little bit, give it a little bit of pop. And these are the Pretty Pink Posh Sugar and Plum crystals. They come in different colors of purple, kind of a light, a dark, and almost a white color. And I'm just scattering them around. And that's it for this one. I kind of like how that turned out. Alright, so here I decided I wanted to use my Tailored Expressions masking stencils. Cut 2 pieces of heavyweight cardstock, white cardstock, and then I am adhering this first one to the stencil, and I used some of the adhesive for the back, the pixie dust, yeah, adhesive for the back to make it stick. And gosh, I'm going to talk today. I am adding 3 different colors of Simon Says stamp colors, blue colors onto this, and I'm using Surf Blue, Audrey Blue, and Deep Sea. Once I'm finished, I'm going to take that mask off, and you see I have this beautiful oval shaped oval shape with the dye, or with the ink blending on it. Then I'm going to go ahead and stamp out one of the flower stamps, and I'm going to use my pencils, my watercolor pencils, although I'm not going to use them with water. I'm going to use them just strictly onto the paper, just to give the flowers a little bit of depth. And again, using a light hand, using a blue color here, just to color them in. Nothing fancy, you can't really see any detailing, just a little bit of darker color kind of on the base and lighter color at the top. Use some greens for the leaves. 2 colors here, a darker and a lighter. Again, not going to put any water to this. Really liking these masking stencils. They work extremely well, but I will tell you, it's not pixie dust is what I said, it's pixie spray that you use on the back of those to make them tacky. I will tell you this is the first time I've used it, and what I realized was that I didn't let it dry long enough. You gotta let it dry for a couple of minutes so it becomes tacky, but it actually doesn't stick to your paper. And I can definitely tell that I did not give it appropriate amount of time, because when I pulled it up, just a little bit of the paper on this one pulled up, but on the next one you'll see I had a little bit more of an issue. You might not see it on screen, but I can tell you I did. So I would say if you use that pixie spray, then definitely let it dry for a little bit before you use it on your project. Alright, so here I'm adding some more gems. This is the Pretty Pink Posh Starry Sky mix, and I added a sentiment there, the Hello Friend sentiment. And that's it for this one. So here's the other one. I decided I'd do the reverse. So I put the oval mask in the middle there, using the complete stencil to guide it so that it's perfectly centered. And then I'm using the colors of Simon Says Stamp Lavender, Wisteria, and Blue Violet. Here I'm just working from lightest to darkest, trying to get a nice even blend. I am working on my silicone media mat from Waffle Flour. Makes it easy to clean it up. However, I have noticed that it can stain a little bit with some of these colors, but I do try to wipe it up right away so that I don't have as much staining. It doesn't really bother me that much, but um, yeah, it might bother you if those kind of things bother you. So here you see I'm done. I'm going to go ahead and stamp, silhouette stamp one of the flowers into the oval, and I'm showing you there a little bit of the area that got pulled up. You can't really see it very well on camera. I'm going to go ahead and color in again using my colored pencils, my watercolor pencils. I'm going to color the flowers a pinkish purple to kind of go along with the background. And again, not planning to use water on this to pull the color out, although it'd probably be easier on this one because this is a, the oval itself is white, and it might look better. Although these dye inks that I've used to ink blend are not water reactive, so I wouldn't risk that if I did use it. Now here, I decided I needed a little bit something to kind of frame it up. So I went around the edge of this with my white marker, gel marker, and I just put little dots or hashtag, kind of like a hash, not a hashtag, but a slash. I'm gonna add this to the lavender card base that I created from the cardstock in the card kit. And here I decided to bring in my tonic shimmer pen. Well, guess what? Because the pencils are reactive to any kind of water or liquid, again, it blends it out and gives it that shimmer. I forgot about that until I started, and that's why you see me kind of wipe it off onto the side, because I didn't want to blend the colors. Now I'm going to bring in some more of the sugar plum gems. I added the sentiment there that says thank you. I'm going to add some of the gems around as I like. Like I say, no rhyme or reason to where I put them, just kind of what I feel looks pretty good. Here it is with a touch of blue there. And that'll be that for that card. Alright, so here is a final look at all 10 cards. I really did enjoy working with this kit. Of course, I love working with flowers. I love anything where I get to color. Didn't use a lot of the pattern paper, but I definitely will save it for something else because I know I'll be able to use it. I do hope you enjoyed watching me make these cards, and I hope I gave you some inspiration. I appreciate you sticking with me. And if you haven't already, go ahead and hit the subscribe button and follow me for more card videos. And if you like this video or any of these cards, I'd love to know which one was your favorite. Thanks again for stopping by, and I will see you again next time. Stay safe out there and have a good day.